Coming into your house. It's lively. It's that time. It's Bywire. It's Dan Lewis. And this is on the Bywire show. Oh my days. Have we got a show for you today? I am so gassed. Like, obviously, the football's put me in a little bit of a good mood. You know what I mean? Like, I'm feeling it. Give me the rhythm. Give me the rhyme. It's England time. I've never felt like that before. Have you got that Friday feeling? Like, you know what I mean? I'm seeing smiling faces, and I didn't expect to see that on a Tuesday evening. You know, one of them ones there, fam. Like, boy, like, honestly, when I heard the cheers in Wembley, right? Obviously, I'm going to talk about the game first. The game is going to have to happen. We've not beaten Germany in how many years? It's a madness. But the thing that got me, right, I'm not normally a big England fan, like, yeah, don't know. But, bruv, when I heard the cheers in Wembley as the players knelt for Black Lives Matter, I felt something. I felt a sense of pride that I have never, ever felt before watching England play. Like, I felt welcome in this environment, albeit I'm sitting at home watching it on my own, like, but I felt welcome. And that was beautiful, man. So big up all the people at Wembley who cheered when they knelt, yeah? That was something special. I appreciated that. And it was fun to watch the game. Obviously, don't know, another black man done scored for the game, or he scored in the last one, but you know what I'm saying. It's a vibe, man. This is, it doesn't, see, when we all come together and we do stuff, we do good things, it doesn't matter what color you are, because we're doing it together. We're appreciating who we are, where we're from, and we've got a common endeavor, and that is to win the Euros. Oi, check me out. Now Portugal's out. I might as well support England, innit? Nah, don't watch me. Anyway, listen, what is good though, people? I hope you enjoyed the game as much as I did. And if not, I hope you've had an awesome day anyway. You know what I'm saying? Good vibes and all that. As I said before, I am Dan Lewis, and this is on the Bywire, where we bring you the news that you know you can trust. Don't forget to check out bywire.news, where you can get more news that you can trust. And you can also check out news from our independent media partners. While you are checking out the news, though, make sure you do, if you can, hit the donate button, because when you donate to independent media, you become a part of independent media. You own independent media, and it's better, I would rather anyway, that you guys owned independent media and the news that's being pumped out than those rich people in mansions on islands not paying no taxes. You know what it is. Come on now. Oh yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, donate again, and share all of them things there. You get me? It's a vibe, man. Now, please forgive me if I do have to pause. I still do have a bit of a cough, and see, I'm intentionally isolating at the moment under the doctor's orders, because I did a COVID test the other day and it come back negative, and I got onto the doctors like, yo fam, can you hook man up with some of them like legal drugs and that? And the doctor was like, have you done a test? And I'm like, yeah, I done one of them home tests in it. And they're like, oh, they don't work. Why are you giving them out then for, bruv? He's like, go to a drive-through thing. So I've gone to the drive-through thing, done another one, and I'm like, yeah, waiting for another test now. It's mad, but I'm pretty sure I ain't got COVID. I don't know. If I have, I have, but I'm isolating anyway. So if I do pause for a second to cough and that, I apologize. But at least tonight, the signal is so much better. You can see me. Oh, what a vibe. I'm feeling good. But, you know, I noticed something like, the more I need the NHS these days, or I go through this kind of the structures that are built around the whole pandemic, I'm realizing how much of an absolute colossal mess has been made of the NHS. Like, you know, thank the clouds and heavens that Matt Hancock has gone, but seriously, volunteers up and down the country and NHS staff across the board have just been let down. Like, of course, the patients as well, we've been let down, but it's just a horrible time in which we seem to be experiencing for healthcare here in England. And like, what is the mainstream media doing about it? Like, oh, hospital numbers are bad, but like, who's to blame? Who's to blame? Come on, put the blame where it belongs. You get me? Come on, man. Anyway, all of this failure, like, by these people, and they're literally laughing at us. They're doing second and third jobs, like. Anyway, boy, let's get into today's independent media. I could go on for a long time about that subject, but we have got Byline Times. What is going on in Byline Times? It is Sam Bright, who is looking into the lack looking into the lack of assessment into the impact of COVID on the demand for HS2. This is an interesting story because HS2 was originally touted to cost, I think, 30 to 36 billion pounds. 30 to 36 billion pounds for a railway that most people ain't even going to be able to use. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But real talk, these guys, they're just taking a mick. That was 9 years ago. You know how much it's going to cost now? They're looking at 106 billion pounds. Bruv, do you know how many veterans we could house with that money? Do you know how many hospitals we could... In the Byline Times piece, Sam highlights the 7 billion COVID bailout for private train firms. 7 billion, bruv. Come on, man. Now, also, the original sell was to reduce, for HS2, was to reduce journey times between London and Birmingham. But now that isn't really necessary. Like, people were thinking, well, we don't really need that. You know, that's not like worth that much money. And then they were like, oh, well, here's a reduce in demand if we have this extra train line. But now with the change in kind of work behavior expected with post-COVID, where's the justification for this 100 billion pound railway? Like, bruv, it's not on, man. It's another story of billions being wasted by this government while we still have children going to school hungry and hospitals falling apart. Who's to blame? The government. Trust me, I'm going to keep saying it, man. Now, talking of hospitals, the new health minister is already under fire, and rightly so. Wait, did you guys see that tweet from Sadiq Khan? Like, oh, I'm excited to work with you. Get out of my house, bruv. Sadiq Khan, what are you doing? You're in the wrong party, fam. Come on. Now, Vox Political have been looking at Sajid's record and his first question session in Parliament. Big up Richard Bergen, because he went in on the bro. You get me? Now, to break it down, like, there's rules in Parliament that require ministers not to hold jobs outside of Parliament that could create a conflict of interest in their role as a minister or even as a member of the government. Now, personally, I don't really think MPs, let alone ministers, should have or even require second jobs. But Sajid has been earning a lot of money in his extracurricular activities, notably from JP Morgan. Now, if you want to know more about JP Morgan and what Sajid's been up to, check out the article in Vox Political. They go into detail on what he's been up to and highlight Richard Bergen MP challenging him on the money he's earned during a national health crisis. Like, man's been making money during a health crisis while people have been taking pay cuts, working class people taking pay cuts. My man's been raking it in out there, bruv. Trust me, he's probably the one with all the PS5s in his like back office or something. You get me? I'm not down with it. Anyway, Sajid had a lack of words to answer, but what also really pissed me off is the jeering of Tory MPs when Bergen correctly brought into question Sajid's credibility. They're a bunch of horrible, slimy sewer rats, and they deserve to go to jail, bruv. I don't care, man. What they've done to so many people in their time in government, like these lot, they need to go to jail. Jail time for every single one of them. Trust me. Now, moving on, over at Bywire HQ, which at the moment is split between several lounges and home offices across the UK, it has been noted that Angela Rayner is trying to out-Tory Priti Patel. Or is she? Like, I don't really know. This story kind of got me, you know. The team sent this one in the group chat earlier, and I was like, what's going on? So Angela last night was watching the Spain game, and she said defenders tonight must have been taking notes from Gavin Williamson on educating our kids and Priti Patel on securing our borders. Fantastic entertainment, though. Like, I don't really get where she's going with this. She's meant to be a Labour MP, right? Oh, she's been hanging out with Sadiq, innit? This is what's happening, bruv. Anyway, listen. The tweet was sent during the Croatia-Spain game, and it was deleted just 2 minutes later. Luckily, there's a bot that say, I'm thinking like a baby, bok. There's a bot that saves MPs deleted tweets, and it's there forever, basically. Now, Bywire.news has got the full story and the fantastic public reactions to the tweet by Rayner, which implies, I suppose, that Priti Patel has not been securing our borders. But then, at the same time, it's a mad situation where you've got Labour MPs trying to out border force Tory MPs. Like, do you know what I mean? Anyway, over to the Canary. Tweet. These guys have been covering a debate in Parliament that I think definitely needs covering. And it's about teaching Black history in schools. Now, this was the result of a petition set up by Bel Ribeiro Adi MP, which was signed by over 270,000 people. Now, these kind of debates don't get coverage in the mainstream media. So, we like to shine a light on our independent partners. Big up the Canary for their in-depth coverage. And when you look at what they're talking about here, they're just saying like, a lot of the conversation about what they teach in schools. There's the American Civil Rights Movement. There's the history of slavery. Weird one, really, because it's kind of like, oh, we ended slavery and you started it too, fam. Oh, but slavery was mainly in America, but you made the money out of it in the UK, fam. You know what I mean? All this kind of stuff. Like Windrush, don't get taught in schools. I remember as a kid, like they were like, oh, the NHS is a great British institution. And I'm sitting there like, I swear my mum came over here with a shed load of people like to help rebuild the NHS after like it was collapsing and they had no one here to work. You get me. Anyway, now we've covered a few areas of accountability and the need for it in Parliament on I would say and nearly every show. Actually, I was going to say on quite a few of the shows that we've done, but nearly every show that we've done. And thanks to Ben Worthy at Open Democracy, we're learning about how MPs have been using private emails and post-it notes to share information that they do not want to appear in the public eye. It's an interesting one. So Tony Blair, Tony Tory Blair, I like to call him. He was the I was going to say MP, but he was the Prime Minister who introduced the Freedom of Information Act, which means people have freedom to access information that is in the government. And there's this guy, you know what I mean? Freaking Matt Hancock. He's one of the culprits here. But he actually said after introducing this law that he feels like a nincompoop for passing the Freedom of Information law. Now, the article covers the hiding and undermining and the fighting of accountability by government ministers who are actually just laughing to the bank while the mainstream media lets them get away with it. Like, they must be getting something out of it too. It's a bit of a mad situation. We've seen it with the special department within the government or the cabinet office that was set up to literally just redact information from Freedom of Information requests. We've seen it where ministers have said that certain files don't exist or certain meetings, they don't have a record of it happening. And now they're going to the extra length of using items of, stationery to send notes to each other that actually probably have really important information on so that they can hide them from your eyes. This is not good. This is your government. Whether you voted for them or not, your taxes pay their wages. If you ain't angry, then I don't know, man. Are you awake? Is the morphine good where you are or something? It's crazy. Boy, listen, I'm going to go off the script a little bit in a second, actually, because I've got something nice to cheer you guys up after this. But one thing I would say is if you want to know more about these things, then check out our independent media partners, Bywire.news, where you can find all of them. Obviously, there is also the Independent Media Association, which is doing a lot of work to really push and bring up our independent media partners. And where possible, please, please, please do donate, become a part of independent media, and support the thing. Don't know, fam. Now, here's some good news, some light news, whatever you want to call it. ScotRail have announced their Pride of Scotland train, I think it was called. And this clever little sausage said, I take it you'll also be painting one in straight colors. Like, what is straight colors, fam? Straight colors, or will we be discriminated against? I love this when people who face no discrimination whatsoever just plead for some kind of discrimination. Anyway, ScotRail, or Steve from ScotRail, brilliantly replied, straight people aren't punched in the face for holding hands with their life partner, nor are they excluded in other countries simply for being straight. Please educate yourself on the matter before commenting on such nonsense. I thought that was a fantastic reply from that member of staff. Many, many people, as Scots often do, offered to buy Steve a pint or 5. And I think it's just beautiful. I thought it was lovely. I hope that ScotRail as an organization don't just do this stuff for when it is Pride Month or International Pride Day. I hope it's all year round that they show their support. And when the struggles of Pride community, LGBT communities come up, that they also put themselves in a position to support them, help them, and don't just ignore it the rest of the year round. Now, onto some other people that are facing some struggles, slightly different to that of the LGBT community, is our brothers and sisters and comrades and people them over in Palestine. And the people here in the UK who are doing mad things to bring about some justice for the Palestinians is our friends who we've mentioned before over at Palestine Action. We have here, excuse me, we have with us Huda Amori and Richard Barnards. Barnards, I said it right, didn't I?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. What's going on, my people? We are so excited to have you here today. I know you've been busy on other streams and other bits and stuff. How are you? Have you had a good day? Did you get a chance to watch the game, or were you bothered about the game?
We watched the game, but I fell asleep halfway through. But I woke up just in time for the first goal. I think it was a bit half watched.
That's brilliant, man. It was a good vibe, wasn't it? I really enjoyed it. Now, you guys, like the last couple of months specifically, you've been popping up on the timeline on our regs, doing all kinds of bits. Now, in the mainstream media, you guys are seen as, there's been a few different words, but troublemakers or criminals or, they're the kind of words that I've seen being used. I think one in the Daily Mail were like thugs or something. They called you thugs. Now, I'm looking at you two now. I've never met you before. You don't look like thugs to me, like what I would call a thug. For me, a thug's like, hey, blood, what you saying, man? Man will knock you out sparkle. You get me, fam?
But we're always seeing that in
private. or like a proper thug, like, you know what I mean? But anyway, but you guys, what do you do? Like, what is Palestine Action? And what is it all about, and what have you been doing? Tell us about the actions that you've been doing over the last couple of months as well, specifically. The floor is yours.
We basically take direct action to shut down and end UK complicity with Israel's apartheid regime. So basically, our main target is Elbit Systems, which is Israel's largest arms company, and they actually market their weapons as tested because they basically use, when they attack people in Gaza, like we recently saw, they use this as opportunities to test weapons on Palestinians and then sell them to kill people across the world. And also the same drones that they use to kill and harass and surveil Palestinians in Gaza are the ones that they're selling to the UK to surveil and essentially stop migrants from seeking refuge in the UK, and are also selling it to the British police force. So basically, we occupy their buildings, chain ourselves to their gates, get onto their roof. We've dismantled their infrastructure. We've caused several £1 million worth of damage to their factories because we're basically sick and tired of appealing to governments to make changes for people across the world. And when you know that these weapons are being built in front of us, we see it as we have no choice left. When you try everything else and they keep ignoring you, then the right thing to do is to stop them in their tracks and to shut down these companies, because the only thing they are good for is killing people. And they might call us criminals, but at the end of the day, when they're literally profiting from bloodshed and massacring people across the world, then the only criminals are them and those who support them.
Huda's the clever one. I say we smash the shit out of arms companies.
Come on. I'm trying not to laugh too hard now in case I'm starting to get into a coughing fit. Boy, that's the vibe I need. You get me? But that's beautifully explained, and thank you very much for it. Like, you know, the media don't really cover what's really going on in Palestine. They keep calling it a conflict or even a war. And to me, like, a conflict is two people throwing stones at each other. A war is two groups or countries throwing bombs at each other. And at the moment, really, it's like you've got the super bazookas over in Israel. You know, like, these ain't the super bazookas. These are like the super bazooka 5000s. You know the ones your mum can't afford. Like, no, we are not going to Hamleys for your water gun this year, Dan. And like Palestine, they've got the kind of, you know, £2 little water guns, if they're lucky, that you get from the newsagent that breaks after 2 pumps. Like, you get me? Sounds like my married life, but that's another story. Anyway, no, but like, it's not a conflict, it's not a war, and it is like an international effort to put these weapons that are being used against Palestinians into the hands of the Israeli army. Correct me if I'm wrong in anything I say, please. But also we're in a situation here where schools, hospitals, homes are literally being decimated, right?
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you're saying then about like media, because we was on a thing a little while ago, just before this one, and there was a guy there, and I wouldn't have noticed this, and he talks about things like the language that's used in the mainstream media about conflict, about saying that that Israelis are killed and Palestinians died, yeah, and those little subtle things that the mainstream media does, which shows to us the importance of independent media. And actually for us, yes, we've been put in the mainstream media, but most of the people who've joined us have come from independent media, have come from social media, where they're portraying things correctly, where we keep it simple and we keep our message simple. The mainstream media love to make the Palestinian cause into a confusing issue that only like frigging people who've written loads of books and read loads of books can understand. But it's simple, yeah? If there's an oppressed people who are trying to fight back and resist against it, and we say that we need to do whatever it is we can here in this context. And I think like Huda touched on, the UK has been deeply complicit, started this whole mess by the Balfour Declaration over 100 years ago. And we say that here, let's keep it simple. Let's listen to those independent media voices. Let's listen to the social media that we put out and our comrades put out. And then let's call people to say, we can all do this. We can all take direct action. I know we were speaking to you beforehand, yeah? It's dead simple, right? Someone on the last thing we were on was going, oh, you guys are heroes. It's like, no, we're not, yeah? It's well simple to climb up an old ladder, get on a roof, get a sledgehammer, pull it through a window or through loads of machinery like we've done recently and destroy these drones. It's well simple to press a fire extinguisher full of paint to cover it in blood red paint to show what it's like. And you know what? We don't say this in like in real sort of public things, but in this friendly place, we'd say it. It's well good fun as well, yeah? Yeah, there's some shitty consequences like having to be locked up for 24 hours and then have a court case, but we can deal with that crap, yeah? Loads of us have been arrested for loads of things that we're not so maybe proud at, and we have to deal with that in those sittings. When you get nicked for something, actually you go, this means something. When we get messages from the oppressed people in Gaza and the West Bank saying what you're doing is the right thing for us, then we can sit in those police cells or worrying about being arrested and go, yeah, we did this for the right reason. Yeah, this is the right thing we're doing. And it fills us with a sort of strength to be able to do that.
100%. Do you know what, like, you talk there as well, like, about the damage that's caused to these companies. Like, I literally just don't care how much money you have caused them to have to lose in this, because what is all that money when they already have billions of pounds, when mothers and fathers are losing their children, or children are losing their parents, and all those kind of situations there. And on that point of the media, that's the thing that you don't see. You don't, and thanks to one of my friends, Rachel Swindon on Twitter, very regularly, for a long time, she shared these videos to show what's going on in Palestine and how people are being murdered and their lives are being, just decimated. And when you look at the BBC at 6 o'clock or the Daily Mail, whatever it might be that you're looking at in that mainstream media, you don't see those pictures, you don't see those stories, but they straight away start to call people terrorists, and words like terrorist are used. And like, I don't know, I think a terrorist is someone, and going off the meaning of the word, is someone who causes mass damage for political or religious beliefs. So kind of blowing up a whole hospital and schools and an estate of houses, so that you can build a cinema complex and maybe start, I don't know, set up your own football ground because you believe that those people don't matter. That to me is terrorism, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And this is the thing with Israel. It's like they try and make it out that it's complicated or it's two sides. And they've managed to successfully do that for such a long time, right? So a lot of people, before the recent escalation of Israel's bombing and attacks on Gaza, would just steer away from it because they would think it's too complicated, it's too confusing, it's two-sided and all that stuff. And it's deliberately done to basically distract us and to stop people from acting for the people of Palestine, when actually it's simple. For over 72 years, they've been wiping out Palestinians from their home. They've been wiping out the indigenous population. They then later occupy them, put them in the world's largest open prison. And when they're in the world's largest open prison, they just bomb them like crazy. And actually often they use these drones, which the parts and the drones themselves are built here. They're built in communities like Leicester, like Birmingham, and all over this country. And when they're using these drones, it's just some person who's acting like they're on some game where they can literally, from a room, completely out of context of the actual situation, just start killing people with a touch of a button. And you cannot fight against that. That is not a fair fight. There is no chance that people can survive against this. And when we know that their weapons are being built here, then, you know, for us, it's clear. It's like, we have to stop that. And I think that means we destroy those components, or destroy the buildings so they can't manufacture them. Then that's what we'll do, because at the end of the day, I'm Palestinian and I'm Iraqi at the same time. And I was brought up here, and I know how much privilege I've got, you know. And when I see that they've got this factory around the corner from me, and I can't just stand outside and protest any longer. I can't appeal to governments who are basically see as murderers because they've been facilitating this shit for so long. Then actually the happiest I ever was, sounds bizarre, was when I went onto the roof of one of those factories, because I was like, just me standing here, I'm shutting this place down. We have actually caused them disruption, and they work as a chain. You know, they have their different components built in Birmingham or Oldham, etc. You knock out one component, and often because there's damage caused and we dismantle their factories, they are shut for much longer than we are on their roofs for. So even if we're only on there for a day or 3 days, they've had to shut down for several weeks at a time after each action, which disrupts their whole kill line. And if we do that week in, week out, which we've been doing at the moment, then you can't operate like that. And the things with these businesses is you've got to hit them where it hurts, and you've got to hit them with the only thing that they give a shit about, which is money, profits, being able to sell their products or use their products and export it to Israel. And if we stop that, and it doesn't make sense for them, it's not viable for them to keep operating here, because we're just going to keep shutting them down, and you can't have a business if you're always shut down, then you've got to go. That's why, you know, we do it.
Can I just add one thing to that as well?
Go for it, yeah.
So when you're talking about the media, obviously there's the bias reporting in all the mainstream media, including The Guardian and everything. Yeah, it's not. But the other thing for us that's key is obviously when it's at the sharp end and Israel's actually bombing, then it does get in the media. There's some exposure. But this happens day in, day out. It's not like it goes away, yeah? These drones that we're damaging and stopping being produced, yeah? These drones fly every day over. And when you hear children say how traumatized they are, PTSD by hearing drones because they killed their brothers and sisters, because they killed their mothers previously before, it's not good enough for it just to go silent in the media. This needs to be talked about, like you talked about, sharing videos, and one, that needs to happen, and then secondly, we need to do things day in, day out. We can't just do things when it's in the mainstream news. It's like this happens all the time. This Israeli apartheid regime happens day in, day out. People suffer day in, day out. People are killed day in, day out, and therefore we must match the severity of that with what we do here, where the whole thing started, with what we can do. Again, like you said, we're using our hands and tools that we've got to dismantle machines that are used to kill people. And we just have to do everything we can to stop that. So
I've got, like, I again 100% agree, and like, I feel like you two should have a TED Talk session, like, you know what I mean? And I know it's funny, but like I genuinely mean, like, why are people like you not platformed way more? I suppose that's why Bywire gave me a show so that we can platform people like you. But I'm just answering my own questions. But like, one thing I quickly want to ask you before we move on to more about Palestine Action is that obviously you guys are a threat at the moment, not just because some of the stuff you do, the police don't like it, like fuck the police, innit? But today it's been announced that the police and courts and something else, Priti Patel's new bill to stop us from making noise outside, is being moved to the 5th of July to a vote in Parliament. So they're trying to rush that forward, which is going to have an impact on you guys. But I feel like you're not too bothered about that, given what you already do. However, there's a lot of people who have been campaigning against that bill, and they've been doing things like holding marches and protests and stuff like that. But like you said, you're fed up of shouting outside of a building or holding up a placard. What advice would you give to people who want to take more action on issues, who want to actually really demand change in a physical way? What are the steps you'd recommend that they take? Not specifically, you know, go and smash up Parliament, because I think there's some laws around that, but I'm not sure. I don't know these things, you know. They make laws, I don't know. But then, no, seriously, like, you know, what are the basic things people need to start thinking about to start, number one, organizing? Because you guys are proper working class, like solid as fuck, you know what I mean? And I just think, how do you start thinking about organizing working class people around these issues? And also, what are the things you need to start thinking about to really know that you're going to be able to have an impact? What I suppose, what did you guys do when you started to think about this stuff? Sorry to just throw that curveball there.
It's good that you said that, because actually, for us, we always say to people, you don't need to be an expert on every single issue in order to do something about it, right? And I think there's often a problem with the left of trying to make everything too academic, over-intellectualize everything, have debates, and actually, most people aren't necessarily that interested or can't engage in that stuff for long enough because they're pissed off and frustrated. And actually, when we take action first, that's the best way of raising awareness. For us, you know, we had done some stuff beforehand, right, and used the proper channels and all of that stuff to try and bring change, and it failed. And actually, when we just go into a community and we go and occupy an arms factory, etc., then we have that whole community coming out to support us, and they immediately start understanding the issues. Whereas if we went knocking on their doors day in, day out, it wouldn't necessarily have had that same impact. So I think we've got to think action first sometimes and then awareness after. Another key thing for us is cutting out the appealing to the third party. So if we're going on protest outside Parliament, we're always, and in different contexts, it works in different ways, but you know, for us, for example, we can't appeal to the government who's been enabling this shit for over 100 years, and they're not going to change it. Even if we had 1 million people outside, like we did against the Iraq war, they still went and killed 1 million Iraqis, despite all these people coming out on the streets and going straight to the source of these things, right? So for us, that means we're not appealing to the government. We're no longer appealing to politicians. We're going to go straight to the source and take that power into our own hands and envisage the future we want to see and make that happen for ourselves, rather than appealing to the same people, because we're always going to be disappointed if we do that same thing. And it's just like a cycle. Like in the Palestine context, you know, we've seen hundreds of thousands of people come out when Gaza was being attacked, and now quiet is down when they're not being attacked, and they're going to get attacked again in a year. Then all these people will come out, and it'll be the same thing over and over again, unless we radically change things. We change how we look at things, and we cut out the middleman, and we just go straight to the source. And also, you know, for us with the bill, it's, if they're going to criminalize protest, then we might as well go the step further and do the things that they've already been saying are illegal, which is actually disrupting the trade and disrupting the business, which profits from the oppression of people. You know, and I think if they try and play that game, we play it hard and we go, are you going to lock up 100 of us, 1,000 of us, 10,000 of us? We're not going to stop. And I think that's how we bypass them. I
think for me, it's like asking right at the start, which is what we did, yeah? So we've been involved in lots of campaigns. The first question you should always ask yourself is, do I actually want to win this? Yeah. And too many things become performative. Yeah. Too many things are about, let's get out there and let's make this look good and get loads of people. Yeah. We don't actually need fucking loads of people. Yeah. We just need enough people to do whatever it is our cause is. Yeah. But that question, do you actually want to win? If you want to win, then you need to look at those things, right? Are we going to disrupt the thing we're trying to win? Are we going to have some element of sacrifice, which brings on other people outside our movement, right? The example I always give for this is the factory that we first occupied is in a white, relatively posh area in the Midlands. And there was a young woman going past with her baby. And she was like, well, what are they doing? They're crazy up there, yeah? I don't really agree with what they're doing. But then she said, when the second day she come past, and I think Huda was speaking really quietly as she does, yeah, shouting from a fucking megaphone, they're killing fucking kids. And she was pushing her child past, and she's like, but they got a point, ain't they? They've actually got a point. They're doing this, right? And that brings people in, right? Actions speak louder than words. We know that, right? Yeah, in so many contexts, yeah. And once we do these things, and then, like I had said before, then people will go, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. So having some kind of disruption to this stuff, you know, a sacrificial element, yeah, and then created, and this is in like how direct action works, yeah, is creating some kind of dilemma. So for us, because we're targeting a company, the dilemma is it profitable? Are you still able to make your evil weapons or not? Or a dilemma for the police: do we nick them and crack down on them? Do we, you know, we've gone through that with them. Yeah, they've nicked me and Huda under terrorism laws, interrogators who are out solicitors, and then they back off. And creating those kind of dilemmas, I think, are really key. And I think the other thing for me is, let's please not be reactive. Yeah. So we didn't sit there and go, there's shit happening. Let's react to that now. Yeah. And some of the things around parliamentary stuff is always reactive to them and appealing to them. It's like, no, what's wrong now? Let's envisage the future and let's make that future happen. Let's not wait around for these people. And for me, and also one other thing, I know you was joking at the start when you're like, oh, we could just go and smash Parliament up. Yeah. Right. But actually, you know, people often say to us, well, how did you work out Palestine Action? Where was your theory at the start? Do you know what the theory was at the start? There was 5 of us who were pissed off, and we thought, let's storm into this fucking office and spray paint the fuck out of it, yeah? And that's and then being kind of a bit ego-driven, we didn't get into the 6th floor where the office was, and we went, oh, shit, that was annoying. Oh, no, let's go back. You talked about England, Germany. They keep playing them until they fucking win against them eventually, yeah? So we're like, get back, and then we got back right up to the top floor. And actually just fucking doing something and not just going sit down or appealing to governments and appealing for things, yeah? So I don't know what that means in the context of people who are against the bill, right? And the bill's, you know, fascist and all that thing. But there's a lot of me that goes, don't get sidetracked on that. And definitely the final appeal to me is, please, please, please don't fit into that kind of bureaucratic bollocks that people like me are fed up with and will never join, right? I ain't going to join an NGO, yeah? Because I've got no idea what they're talking about all the time, yeah? And secondly, they'll fill up a whole bureaucracy where I've got to be elected to this thing and that thing, and they set up all these things about that. Well, no, my thinking's a little bit all over the place, and I just want to do something. Please don't make those mistakes of having mass meetings talking about things for everyone a day, yeah? We're in this context where all of us just want to get on and do something, right? If I want to go down the pub and get pissed, I'm not going to talk about what's the fucking best wine to drink, am I? Yeah. I'm going to go down there and go, what's the cheapest one, Gov? Yeah. All right. So let's do it in that way and not make it bureaucratic and fill it with meetings.
Oh man, where have you been all my life? Can we go to the pub after this? I really want to go to the pub with both of you, like right now.
The funny thing is, I don't even drink.
Pardon?
I said the funny thing is, I don't even drink.
Oh, don't you? Oh man, that's a shame because I've got a bottle of Leffy right now.
Don't worry,
Anyway, listen, guys. The most important thing is, how can people get involved? What have they got to do? What have they got to look like? What have they got to dress like? Do they need a balaclava? Do they need to come from a council estate, or do they need to come from Eton? And if they meet all the criteria, if there is any criteria, how do they do it?
Yeah, for us, we're not strict on criteria. We just want committed people who want to make change and want to make it happen. So there are different types of actions in Palestine Action. Some are accountable, some are unaccountable. There are some people who don't want to get arrested, and that's fine. You can easily spray paint a building and get away, and we have guides on how you do that, and then you've got to be masked up. There are some actions where the only way you're going to get down from the roof, or if you chain yourself to the gates of a factory, the only way you're going to get out is if you get arrested at the end of it. So some of those people don't necessarily wear balaclavas because the police are going to find out who you are once you get arrested anyway. But we're basically a place for anyone who gives a shit, and we're not too precious about people having to know absolutely everything on the issue. We go through all those things, make sure people understand exactly what that company is doing, exactly what they're getting themselves into, and all those things. It's as simple as just go on our website, fill in the form, read our actions agreement, which just breaks it down. We just want committed people. We put the cause first. Don't be a dickhead. It's as simple as that. Yeah, I'm not going to stand for discrimination, but it's pretty basic. And we've had people from all all walks of life. We've had 74-year-olds, we've had 19-year-olds, we've had people from all different religions, etc. And the one thing that everyone who takes action, Palestine Action, one thing that binds you is the fact that you're willing to do something and actually take action against these arms companies, and that is stronger than anything else for us. So just sign up. We have different workshops, PalestineAction.org. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, pal_action. We don't have Facebook because they kicked us off, but there you go.
What? Fuck Facebook, man. Why are Facebook such pricks, man? Honestly, like, oh, they don't like sex workers, they don't like Palestinian people, they don't like independent media. Like, you know, why are we still using it? I don't get it. Like, we're broadcasting on there because people are there, but we should boycott the thing, man. Let's go to Facebook HQ and smash that up. Anyway, you guys have inspired me too much, man. Is there such a thing? Thank you so much, Richard and Huda. I really appreciate it. If you can stay on the line after I've finished this outro, it'll be fantastic to catch up with you. But I've shared the join now page or join the resistance page from your website in the comments where we're able to, and I will continue to share all of your stuff on as many platforms as I can. I will speak to you guys soon. Hopefully have a wonderful evening. Listen up, people. I'm so gassed. Like, I can't believe these guys. This is the kind of thing we need in the world. These are the kind of people we need in the world when it comes to taking action on issues, especially issues that I care about. And when there are children's lives at risk, and the mainstream media are not talking about these issues, and when they do talk about it, they are lying to you. And that is why you are tuned into On the Bywire, Bywire News, where you know you're getting the truth. You know what I'm saying? Man's not gonna lie to you, fam, because if I do, I lose my job, unlike other people. Anyway, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, hit every damn button except for the hate button. No hate around here. We love you, people. Big up all of you for tuning into the show. Big up all of you for just being alive and being good people. This is On the Bywire. I'm Dan Lewis, and I'm gonna go vibes with these cool cats. Peace out, motherfuckers.